Hey, believe it or not, and that's going to be a bad pun here in a minute, believe it or not, we're at Excel video 150 already, and we're going to talk about not today. We've talked about if, and or. Sometimes it's helpful to have a function that says if it's not this, then do this, else do that kind of thing. And let me show you how that works with two examples today in Excel video 150. Let's say I've got aging dates here, and I want to go through and say, hey, if it's over 30 days, it's overdue. If it's not over 30 days, then I'm not going to worry about it. So what my function here says is, if not J16 less than 30. So what not does is it turns the equation around. You could get the same result if we did, let's just copy it. We better make this say J16. So we're looking at apples to apples. And then what we can do is we could turn the greater than equal sign around and do this. Whoops. Got rid of one too many parentheses there. How do you like that? So what not does is it just turns things around. If this statement is not true, if J16 is less than 30, so again, let's click and go in here, and they said, hey, that's true. So because this is true, it's returning false because we've got not here. All not's doing is flipping true to false and false to true based on the logic. And you may say, well, hey, isn't it easier, Nate, to just do this, copy this down, and I got it, and I've got my overdues and everything? You know, yeah, a lot of times it will be. But if there's a time when you need to see something that's not any of the following things, then do something. You know, this not keyword may come in handy. And again, all not's doing is turning this equation around and saying, let's do it one more time. This is true, so not is going to make it false. And if we go to this one, this is false, so not is going to make it true. And that's all it does. That's their description. Changes false to true or true to false. Let me show you one more example, and maybe this will be another place where you might find a use for not. Let's assume I've got financial classes down here, and I've got groups of Cigna and United policies and whatnot, and I want to just tell me if it's commercial or Medicare, because I'm going to do some kind of contract analysis or reimbursement or something. One way we could do it is to say, if not J25 equals Medicare, so if this isn't Medicare, then it's commercial. Otherwise, it's Medicare. That's kind of my logic. And so we can do that and say, all right, that's commercial, that's Medicare, all these are commercial, and that's Medicare. And if my data changes, my formula will pick it up and say, all right, now that patient has Medicare for primary insurance again. Sometimes not is confusing because what you've got, if you look at it, is it flips the logic from true to false. And there's a couple of different ways to do it. I mean, you could always do like we did up here, and we could flip the greater than sign to less than and things like that. Another thing we could do is we could just change the order of these. Instead of doing, I got to come back over here and make this reference to the right cell again. What we could do is we could say, we could get rid of not, and then what we could do is we could cut this, comma, and paste this, get rid of that comma, and we just flip the order. So if it's Medicare, say Medicare, else it's commercial. And you will get in the same situation. And so sometimes not's going to throw you because you figure out your if, then do this, and then it flips it backwards on you. And not may be more confusing than it is helpful in those situations. But if you've got two columns where you can't change anything and things have got to be in the right order and you just got to know if something's not true, that not will be helpful. Another time you may use not is, remember back over here, if one of these is true, then the whole thing goes to true with the or statement. What we can do is we can flip that backwards and say, you know, if one of them's, you know, if you find at least one and it's not that, then we're going to flip it to false instead of true. Play with not a little bit and see, you know, in a simple example like this, it's going to look confusing. Hey, Nate, there's an easier way to do it. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this. But there may be a time where you find it helpful to be able to just flip the whole thing to not and make your life a little bit easier in a complicated spreadsheet. That's what I wanted to show you about logical functions. We have been through and an if error. We've done quite a bit with if error in when we did VLOOKUP. But you know what, I'm going to show you one more. I will show you, let's do one more video on if error, just maybe show you another example besides VLOOKUP when if error may be handy for you. We've done not, we've done or. All true and false do is set something to true or set something to false, and that's probably for that's either way too simple or way too complicated for what we're talking about. So stay tuned next time. We'll do if error, and then when we're done with if error, there's a bunch of cool text things we can do, and we'll start that next. So Excel video 151, 152, we'll start text. See you then.